Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our masterclass. We are going to dive right in. I appreciate all of you even being early, not even on time, but you were early. We're going to talk about the 7 new strategies for maximum weight loss and how insulin resistance is making some people gain a lot of weight. So our goal here today is teach you how to defeat insulin resistance so that you don't have a weight problem. So here's what you all are going to learn tonight. We are going to talk, you're going to learn about these 7 strategies that we're going to target and that we do target during our program that's going to help you lose weight, that's going to help you defeat insulin resistance. And we're going to explain exactly what insulin resistance is because it involves a lot of different signs and symptoms that lead to, there's a lot of signs and symptoms that lead to insulin resistance. Then once you have the insulin resistance, that leads to weight gain. And so I'm telling you, this is why you should listen, pay close attention because there's lots of information tonight. So get ready, put on your thinking caps, and let's keep going. This is an interactive masterclass. So we're going to ask you some questions throughout this masterclass. We want you to respond on the chat. Why do we want that? Well, first of all, there's no right or wrong answers. You're just going to answer. No right or wrong answer. We just want to know how we can best serve you. We want to know where you are in your health journey and how we can guide you and serve you wherever you want to go. And for those of you who are seriously seeking health or help with your health, that's a tongue twister right there.
Big one, right?
Those of you that are seriously seeking help with your health, we want to answer your questions. So we will answer all of your questions when you book a call with us. We have a free 15-minute consultation, and the link is on the chat. We will show you how to book it. If not, Kim, you can put it in the chat if you like. So let's go ahead and get started with the meat, right? The meat of the chat.
Yes.
Tell me if this sounds like any of you. Type yes in the chat if it does. I want to put my little video here because I did put a video. Type yes on the chat if this sounds like you. You feel tired. You feel fatigued. You have low energy, especially after you eat a meal. After you eat a meal, you have that low energy. You get brain fog and you have difficulty concentrating, or sometimes you may even feel dizzy, right? Like, oh my goodness, I feel lightheaded and I feel dizzy. I wonder why. And sometimes you have to drink caffeine just to feel normal. Just to get your day going, you have to have a lot of caffeine. And then throughout the middle of the day, some more caffeine. You're tired at night. You want to go to bed. You want to fall asleep, but you have kind of that tired but wired sensation, right? That is not normal. It's common. A lot of people suffer with that, but it's not normal. You have difficulty losing weight, or you're gaining weight, especially around the mid area, the midsection or your hips or your thighs. How about this one? How about you crave sweets?
That's a big one.
You crave salt, or you just have a craving for food and overall, like, I just need food. How about this one? Put on the chat if any of this you resonate with any of these things that I'm mentioning. You have pain in your body. You have pain in your body for no apparent reason. It's not like you fell or you had an accident, but yet there's so much pain in your body, meaning that like I said, you didn't fall, you didn't hurt yourself, but your joints are hurting. There's muscle cramps, there's headaches, there's dizziness, there's lightheadedness. How about this one? Unexplained hair loss. So many women are complaining today from unexplained hair loss, and so are men. How about for women, extra facial hair? Extra facial hair. None of us women want to end up with extra facial hair. Not looking good. Or for women, you have hormonal issues. If you're still getting your periods, you have irregular menstrual cycles, you have infertility or even difficulty having babies. We get so many phone calls from young women. There's an epidemic today of women that cannot get pregnant, women that cannot have babies. And how about for the men? Men have reduced sex drive or even a reduced ability to perform. How about intestinal gas?
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a big
Definitely.
one. I mean, people call us and tell us even when they're drinking water, they get bloated. A lot of intestinal gas, a lot of constipation, no matter what they eat. Statistically speaking, in this country, 80% of our patients, people that we treat, 80% are constipated or have some sort of digestive issues. How about allergies to food or allergies to the environment? Some people get sick quickly. Like you can't sneeze around them. It can't be breezy outside because they'll end up with a cold or they're in bed. How about skin rashes? There's so many people that call us, even their kids have skin rashes, eczema and psoriasis, or even acne problems. I want to push it over here so the Facebook people can see us, or even acne. You just don't feel well. You ever get up or sit down and just say, I just have this feeling of malaise. Remember that word?
Not feeling good.
Just not feeling well. I don't know where it's coming from. You go to your medical doctor cannot explain it. You have these weird symptoms and you decide that, well, I'm just going to have to live with them because nobody can figure this out. And then there's the common ones like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. Do any of these apply to you? Go ahead and put it in the chat because we want to know who we're talking with, who we're talking to. Does this sound like you? Put yes on the chat. And if you'd like to share which one sounds like you, go ahead and do that. Have you ever thought to yourself, I definitely cannot be successful because I can't even concentrate. I have like brain fog. I was going to go and type something and send somebody a text and gonna go do this, but what did I get up for? I mean, how many of you experienced that? Or I'm gonna be stuck with these medications for the rest of my life. These are things that we've heard from different people. I'm gonna be taking these medications for the rest of my life. How about this one? I missed this year's family reunion because I don't feel well, because I'm sick again. And people have said to us, I don't want to die as young as my parents died. I don't want to die as young as my mom died or my dad died. So the question for you is, are you able to defeat all of these things? Are you able to just overcome them, figure out a way to just defeat insulin resistance? And we're going to explain exactly what that is to all of you in Facebook land and here on Zoom. Do these signs and symptoms, are they taking away your joy, taking away you enjoying life and doing just life? Here's a fact. If you're feeling any of these symptoms, you are not alone. According to the Center for Disease Control, listen to this, you guys. Center for Disease Control, there are 98 million people in the United States, from young to old. We're talking from 18 years old all the way, it could be to 100 years old until people die. 98% of the people, our population, suffer from insulin resistance, and it is undiagnosed because the medical doctors do not test for insulin resistance. You can have insulin resistance for 10, 20, 30, up to 50 years. You're walking around with it, and most people don't even know that they have it because 99% of the doctors do not check for it. Allow us to introduce ourselves. Thank you for being here, all of you. Thank you, Yvonne, for joining us. I'm Dr. Wanda Chadwick, and this is my husband, Dr. Aaron Chadwick. And we've been together as a couple for 27 years, and we've been natural doctors, functional medicine doctors. We practice integrative medicine, and we've been certified nutritionists for over 30 years. So we actually met in medical school and then got married 27 years ago.
Mm.
We together as a team, we have helped tens of thousands of
That's
people,
right.
tens of thousands of patients. My husband has a biochemistry background, and he has been dubbed as the quote unquote blood work king because he can read a blood work analysis like nobody else. Not your medical doctor, not your cardiologist. We need them. I love all medical doctors, especially when we work together for the benefit of the patient. We
Mm.
definitely need them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we actually offer a lot more. We have very comprehensive blood tests that we have. And, like my wife was saying too, though, a lot of doctors talk about bits and pieces of helping you with your health concerns, but we offer a little bit more comprehensive nature of helping people. We have a very comprehensive blood test we use. We give specific recommendations for you with specific ancient formulas. You can learn more about this if you join our 90-day program. Our book's going to be released in the first quarter of 2025, and you can get your personal copy signed by pre-ordering a copy now. And just look for the link in the chat,
Yeah,
right?
Kim, can you put the link on the chat?
Yeah,
People have been ordering the books. I'm like, I can't believe how many books we have sold, and it's still not even the book hasn't been released yet.
it's
So
coming
the
out.
link
It's going to be
it
awesome.
comes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna be speaking the truth about why people get sick and how
yeah,
they get sick
hmm,
and how to not be sick anymore.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Instead of just being on medication drugs. Now listen, I am not totally against medication drugs. If you need them to stay alive, then go ahead and take them. We're not going to be ignorant like that, saying that you don't need to take them. If you need them temporarily, go ahead and take them. But then seek another way to get healthy and to reach optimum health. Our motto is we test, not guess.
Hmm.
We don't want to guess. There are so many people now. I love looking at videos on YouTube and I'm always researching and always seeing what other doctors are doing on YouTube.
Mm.
But here's the reality, everyone. Listen, Facebook, on Zoom, here's the reality. The YouTube videos, they talk about health in generalities.
Mm.
They cannot be specific. They cannot
No.
because they don't know the details that they need. They don't have the details that they need to do some root cause healing. We need to know what is going on your body, in the person's body, before we can help them. For example, how do you know which nutrients you're missing unless we test you first?
It's a great question.
When we go to see a medical doctor because we have insurance, and so many people say, well, I have insurance, I'd rather go that route. And then they just give you a medication drug or an operation. And sometimes it is necessary. Please hear me. Sometimes it's necessary,
Mm.
but the majority of the time, it's either a nutrient deficiency, over toxicity. We get to the root cause. Here's the big question for tonight is insulin resistance stopping your weight loss? Go ahead and put the answer on the chat. Is insulin resistance stopping your weight loss? And I'm coming over here to my other computer. Instead of Facebook, I'm coming over here to my other computer. So go ahead on Facebook, answer it. Also, is insulin resistance stopping your weight loss? The answer is
Yeah.
yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Resounding yes. And you cannot lose weight if you have too much insulin in your body. And we're going to talk about, again, what insulin resistance is as we go along here. So one of the things that insulin does, it chaperones sugar into your cells so your cells can get energy. That's important, right? So the sugar is escorted into your muscle cells so you can move around. Sugar goes into your brain so you can think. Sugar goes into your cells so you can do all the things you enjoy doing, right? So when your cells resist the insulin, many problems begin. Insulin resistance slowly creeps up on you over the years. It may have started when you were a teenager, or if the insulin resistance is not stopped, it can lead to a life of symptoms we are all speaking about tonight. And most people think about insulin resistance as diabetes or a sugar problem, but that's not completely correct. In your earlier years, you most likely had perfectly normal sugar levels. But if you were to check your insulin in your blood year after year, you would see a gradual increase year after year. And this gradual rise in insulin leads to insulin resistance. And it is true that insulin resist, if it gets out of control, it will lead to type 2 diabetes, yes. But all the signs and symptoms that we're talking about tonight is really what people suffer from needlessly. So the goal is to defeat the insulin resistance. It's not too late. Even if you have type 2 diabetes in our programs, we have helped people reverse diabetes or defeat
Clearly.
diabetes. So
See, clearly.
again,
Yeah,
we want you to book a
clearly.
call with us to discuss your personal situation at the end.
Yeah, yeah. So what is insulin resistance? Let's get into this now. What is insulin resistance? Just like the word says, your body is resisting insulin. Now, insulin is a vital hormone. It's a messenger and it's produced by your pancreas. And it plays a huge, big role in regulating not only your blood sugar, but also in regulating all of the foods that you eat. And it helps your body turn your food into energy. Now, when there's too much insulin in your body, your cells stop absorbing it, right? My husband will explain why your cells resist the insulin in greater detail, because this is important to know. There are different types of root causes of insulin resistance, right? We're just going to give you an overview without knowing you personally, but there are different reasons why people fall into insulin resistance. And a big part is poor food choices, especially eating the standard American diet, which is known as the SAD diet, SAD, the SAD diet. But there's so much more to insulin resistance than just poor food. It's a fact. So we're not going to debate whether it's, food is helping you get into insulin resistant state. No, it does help you get into insulin resistance. Fast food, fried food, overprocessed foods in a package, canned foods, boxed foods, microwavable foods. These all lead to insulin resistance and it leads to weight gain.
Yes.
And
I'm sorry, but I want to interject a little bit to give you a little bit of nutrition nugget, I call it. Microwaves. Microwaves are one of the biggest reasons that many people suffer from low energy and they also have difficulty losing weight. Why? Because the microwave is a radioactive wave, and when it hits the food, it causes the molecules to shake. As the molecules shake, the protein molecules, it changes their shape. When a protein shape is changed, it becomes foreign to the body. We call that an allergen. And that's what causes allergies. So the microwave oven, yes, it's quick and it heats your food up, but it's denaturing, it's changing those proteins, and your body can do nothing with those foods in the microwave except store it as fat. So do not use a microwave oven.
That's a good tip. I hope they all received it. So the first strategy, that's poor digestion.
Yes.
That leads to insulin resistance. Let's talk about poor digestion. Toxins in our food cause poor digestion, and poor digestion leads to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance leads to weight gain and not helping you lose weight. Let me give you an example. There's a toxin called glyphosate. Most gluten-containing grains, especially things like bread, I happen to love bread, bread and pasta. If it's not organic, listen to me, if it's not organic, it contains a toxin that is harming your body, and it's glyphosate. Glyphosate damages your microbiome, your good bacteria inside your intestines, which leads to leaky gut, and that leads to insulin resistance. There are so many other toxins that damage your digestive system. And that's a completely different topic that we talk about. We actually have a 5-day challenge. And one of the days we talk about all of the toxins that break down your body. And I'll actually put the 5-day challenge link here also when my husband's talking. So an example of poor digestion includes what I mentioned before, the bloating, the constipation, the weight gain. And weight gain is the main theme for tonight. So we're going to unpack that a little bit more. So here's some more questions for you guys. Type yes or type no in the chat. We want to know where you are. Is insulin resistance inherited? On Facebook, you can answer there on Facebook also. Let me check here. Is insulin resistance inherited? Yes or no? Yvonne said yes. Okay, good. How about the rest of you? What do you guys think? Is it inherited? Only Yvonne answered. Anybody else take a guess? Okay, good. Thank you for your honesty, Miss Roberts. Okay, Betsy says yes. Okay, good. Good. Thank you for answering. So the question again is insulin resistance inherited? And the answer is no. No. Let me give you an example. You could have a pair of twins, identical twins. They have the same exact genes. One of the twins can be separated at birth and grow up with a family that eats healthy. Lots of fruits and vegetables, a lot of whole grains, a lot of water. They exercise, they play pickleball every day, right?
Sounds good.
That's our sport. Pickleball is our sport, right? The other twin grows up with the standard American diet, the sad diet, right? Fried foods, fast foods, McDonald's every day, lots of cakes and cookies and sodas and refined starches, artificial sweeteners, lots of candies. Go ahead, honey, eat whatever candy you want. Not only is it going to rot their teeth, but it's going to change the condition of their health. The first twin will not have insulin resistance. And the second twin will, because he's eating the standard American diet, will develop insulin resistance. Mm-hmm. So the answer is no. Thank you, ladies. So here's the next question. Let me go to the next one. The next question is, the only way you can get rid of insulin resistance is to eat totally organic. Is that true or is that false? The only way to get rid of insulin resistance is to eat totally organic. What do you ladies think? Okay, no. Okay, good. So you're right. The answer is no, that's false. You don't have to eat totally organic. You do have to make good choices. Most people are confused or given false information about what eating healthy means. That's why we're here. There's so much false information on social media. People that are studying for 6 months and then they think they know everything about the human body. Well, guess what? It took us 8 years of studies, right? We went to China to do our residency, and we did hours and hours and hours of residency, and we have over 30 years of experience. So we know what your body needs when we look at your blood work, comprehensive functional medicine blood work. The only way that you can know what you need to eat and defeat insulin resistance is with all of those signs and symptoms that we're going to talk about tonight is to test your blood work. Not now, we don't do, like, I think you already said this, we don't do the basic blood test that's offered by most insurances. We do a comprehensive blood work. So here's the next question. Are there medications that cure insulin resistance? That's a good question, Dr. Wanda. Are there medications that cure insulin resistance? Let's see, what's the answer? Come on, ladies, what do you think? Let's see if anybody answered. Nobody has answered yet. No, that's great. And the answer is no. The answer is no.
Yes. And it's simply not true. We know that because insulin resistance is not inherited. And insulin resistance, again, is not the result of bad genes. It's not the result of bad luck. It is the result of bad choices. So we also, there are drugs out there that do treat the symptoms. We know, of course, of the newer drugs. They're called GLP-1 agonists like Ozempic, Mounjaro, and those kind of medications, and those medications treat the symptoms, but they have some severe side effects, and we don't even know the long-term negative effects of these things. What these medications do, they work in your intestines mainly, and what they do is they block the ability of your intestines to move the food through. It's called peristalsis. So that's the medicines block the muscle from squeezing the food. And what happens, unfortunately, over time is you can have paralysis of your gastrointestinal tract. That means it doesn't work anymore. And I have a patient, I just finished working with her. It took me 6 months to get that back on track. And so and that's not even the worst of it. You have this situation where yes, you're slowing down or stopping the peristaltic action, so the food stays in your stomach. So of course you're not going to be hungry anymore. So you're going to lose weight because you're not eating. But when the food sits there in your gut, it ferments. Fermentation causes a lot of bacteria to grow, a lot of fungi to grow in your intestines. So infections, yeast infections, candida starts to become rampant. H. pylori starts to go crazy. And those are just some of the smaller things. The particular medicine, it's working on a particular substance in your body. It's a hormone your body makes. And it's imitating that. That hormone only stays in your blood normally in a healthy situation for about an hour after you eat. So it kind of reduces your appetite too. But it's supposed to be there for an hour. When you're taking the medicine, you're injecting it or whatever, it's staying in your system for days and a week at a time. We don't know the long-term ramifications of
That's
that.
right.
So don't be very, very scared of that. And the last thing I'll tell you about it is the people who are on these medications, Ozempic and the like, are what's happening is they're losing weight very rapidly, but they're losing a lot of muscle mass and a lot of water weight. So what happens is their percentage of fat is still high. Yes,
Mm,
they do lose weight, but they're losing muscle and you're losing
mm.
water. So what the studies are showing is, especially if you're over 50, what's happening is it is impossible for you to gain that muscle back even after you exercise intensely. So don't use those medications. And it's only treating the symptom anyway. All right, so let's talk about a little bit deeper dive into insulin, okay, and what it is. So this is your energy cycle in your body. Now we're not going to go through this, everything here, but just know that insulin is involved in the way your cells use the energy, specifically in how your cells absorb sugar. We call sugar glucose in your body, right? And the sugar comes from your diet. Specifically carbohydrates. Carbohydrates turn into sugar, which gives your body energy. But fats can also be turned into energy, and so can proteins. So we need a combination of these things. So what's happening with insulin resistance, you can see this picture here. You see the glucose floating around your bloodstream, and
Mhm.
there's different cells. We have trillions of cells in our body, trillions of them. And those cells have doorways to allow the glucose to get inside to make energy. Now, one of the cell doors has a lock on it. The lock is called the insulin receptor. It's like a parking space. The key that opens the lock is the insulin. So when sugar rises in your blood, usually from food, from you eat, or from stress, we'll talk about that a little bit too, how stress affects you. Your pancreas is signaled to make and put out insulin in response to that sugar into the bloodstream. So again, the insulin is a chaperone. It hooks up to the sugar, brings it to the cell. The insulin slides into the insulin receptor like a lock into a key or key into a lock. And the insulin opens the lock, which opens the door and allows the insulin and the glucose to get into the cell to make energy. That's very important. Now, at the same time, this is a cool picture here. We have a bouncer here, right? He's standing in the doorway of your cell. The bouncer's job is to make sure not too much sugar or too much insulin gets into the cell, because too much sugar in your cell and too much sugar in your cell will damage the cell. So it's the bouncer's job to be able to regulate that. Okay, to see how much to tell how much allow how much insulin is going to the cell. Now let's call the bouncer, let's call his name Joey, right? So Joey has a job to do, and Joey's job is to monitor the door, and he takes his job very seriously. Again, so when there's too much insulin because of too much sugar, that makes the bouncer Joey upset. And Joey doesn't want to be upset, right? So what he does is he starts to resist the insulin. He gets mad and he doesn't want the insulin to come in, right? So that resisting the insulin, keeping the insulin out of the cell, keeping the sugar out of the cell has many, many negative consequences. It starts a vicious cycle. So here we go. And again, as my wife said before, 98 million people in America have insulin resistance, right?
Without a lot of them don't even know
Yes,
about
I'm
it.
going on. So a lot of times it comes again from the elevated sugar intake, consuming high amounts of carbohydrates, refined sugar, like you mentioned before, pasta, rice, and bagels, stuff like that. That leads to a spike in the blood sugar. The rise in the sugar can be also caused by too much food in general, too much protein or too much fat. But so the excess insulin makes Joey the bouncer mad. So we say that the cell again that resists the insulin. So that's the true meaning of insulin resistance, but it starts this cycle. So as the insulin starts to rise in your body to combat that and to combat specifically the high blood sugar, the pancreas makes more insulin, releases more insulin. So as you eat more and more food, the glucose goes higher and higher, then the insulin goes higher and higher, and Joey gets madder and madder. So chronically elevated insulin levels lead to insulin resistance. And the best way to see if you are insulin resistant is to run a fasting AM insulin blood test. Now, there are a few other tests too that we look at that can confirm if you have insulin resistance. But we want your fasting insulin levels in the morning time to be between 8 and 12. But most doctors do not run this test for you. And again, at the end of this presentation, we'll tell you how you can get in contact with us, and then we can discuss how we can easily check your insulin as part of our 90-day Fix Your Insulin Resistance program. So here we have this cycle. So the insulin levels are starting to go up, right? And then that brings in many, many problems. You start out by going to your doctor and you got a borderline diabetic situation, right? Where he's checking your sugar and your diabetes or your hemoglobin A1C, and that starts to go up, right? So again, when the insulin is high, the sugar can't go into the cell. Joey's upset, he's resisting it, and the sugar starts going higher and higher. Now, that's the first sign, too, that you have insulin resistance is that as you eat your meals, my wife alluded to this earlier, that you'll have low energy. Because remember, the insulin and the sugar is being blocked from going to the cell because there's too much. So the inside of the cell needs the sugar for the energy, but the energy plummets, right? And then that lack of sugar in your cells signals your brain to eat more sugar. That leads to craving sweets, which leads to gaining weight. So low energy and sweet cravings. And in some people, that lack of sugar to the brain cells causes headaches. Some people get lightheaded or dizzy. Some people experience brain fog from not feeding the brain. From the excess insulin in the blood sugar, your body gets thick blood. When your blood is thick, that causes numbness in your hands and feet, or cold hands in your hands and feet. At this point, you go to your doctor because you're feeling lousy, right? Low energy, headaches, brain fog, short temper. This can be a man or a woman. Men are not immune to these problems, right? But so your doctor runs some basic blood tests and tells you you're a borderline diabetic and to come back in 6 months and recheck your blood. So 6 months goes by, you go back to your doctor and you're feeling worse. Your lower energy is even lower. You're exhausted. You're gaining lots of weight. You got brain fog, headaches. Again, so you go back to the doctor and tell him or her you're feeling worse. The doctor runs the same basic minimum blood test and tells you not only are you borderline diabetic, but now you got another problem. The cycle continues. This vicious cycle goes on. So your body doesn't want to become a full-blown diabetic. So the excess sugar is travels through your blood system into your liver. So your liver in turn turns the sugar into something called glycogen. Your liver has these closets to store the glycogen, the blood sugar, but the closets get full and that stresses the liver out. That's the second problem is you get liver stress. The liver turns that excess sugar into fat. Okay? So does anyone know what the name of the fat is that is made from excess sugar? Any ideas, ladies and gentlemen? You can type in the chat there. What's the name of the fat that your body takes the excess sugar and turns it into to store it in your body? Anybody know?
Anybody on Facebook know?
It's a tough question, but I'll give you the answer. I'm not trying to trick you. Just trying to understand what's going on. They're called triglycerides, right? You've heard of them probably. They're in your blood test, most of them. So triglycerides are fat. Now, triglycerides are fat and blood is a watery substance, right? But you know in nature that water and oils don't mix together. Same thing in your body. So triglycerides are fat and watery substance, they don't mix together. So your body makes a substance to carry the triglycerides to your fat cells. So now, not only are you insulin resistant and you're borderline diabetic, but now you have high triglycerides in your blood, and that's a big, big problem. So the vicious cycle continues. So as your sugar goes up to borderline diabetic, you start to then get your sugar goes up a little bit. Your borderline diabetic, your triglycerides go up. That again, that makes your blood thick, and it can clog up your arteries. But we have a great God and His infinite wisdom. He made a taxi cab to carry the triglycerides from your blood to the fat cells. Okay, so we have triglycerides in the blood, but the liver makes a substance to grab onto the triglycerides, like a taxi cab or an Uber, if you're for today's society, and that carries the triglycerides to the fat cell. So what's the name of that substance that carries the triglycerides? Anybody know that? You can type in the chat. What is the name of that particular situation or that substance that carries the triglycerides in your body? And it's called LDL cholesterol. Okay, so you got to imagine that. So now you have borderline diabetes, your sugar's going up, your insulin is very high, and your triglycerides can go up and down. And now your body tries to help you by making LDL cholesterol. So now your cholesterol goes up and your blood is much thicker, like I said, because of all the sugar and all the things in your blood. Now we'll come back to that in a little bit. But the LDL carries your triglycerides to your fat cells and you get fatter. So you gain weight from the extra triglycerides and the LDL carrying it back. Right? So you go back to your doctor because you're still not feeling well. You feel tired, you got brain fog again, you're irritable, you're gaining weight. So your doctor runs some more basic tests and see that you have elevated cholesterol. That's usually the first thing that they look at. They see the borderline diabetes, but now the cholesterol is high. So here, and again, he or she may not see the elevation of triglycerides or that you're pre-diabetic yet, but the cholesterol goes up. So the elevated cholesterol leads to you taking a medicine. The doctor strongly suggests that you take a statin medication. There's some names there to avoid a heart attack or stroke. So now you're taking the medication related to insulin resistance. It's a statin medication. So you start taking the statin medication, but you still feel lousy. In the next few months, you start feeling worse. Now, the funny thing is, I mean, it's not funny. The sad thing is that when you take the cholesterol medicine, you're reducing your LDL cholesterol and your cholesterol, which sounds good, but that's the taxi cab that carries the triglycerides from the extra sugar. So the result of taking the statin drug, you're going to become a full diabetic now because your sugar has nowhere to go because the taxi cab is gone. And then doesn't stop there. So now you're taking this medicine and you're developing a fatty liver from all these triglycerides, as well as the side effect of the medications. And maybe some of you are drinking too much alcohol. So that's causing your liver to get fatty. So when your body has excess triglycerides, you will develop a fatty liver. That's epidemic nowadays, right? But again, your body's very resourceful.
With or without alcohol?
Yes, it doesn't matter. Your body is very resourceful. It takes the excess sugar and turns it into triglycerides, right, to store it as fat. And then your body can also turn that stored fat back into triglycerides, back into glucose. That's part of the cycle. But again, if we're not careful, that insulin resistance will damage the liver. You'll get a fatty liver first, and then you'll get fibrosis. Fibrosis is when the liver cells get stiff, right? And they don't really function as well. And if that's not taken care of, and insulin resistance is not taken care of, you go into cirrhosis, which is like a rock hard liver. If that's not taken care of, you get cancer from that. So it's a very bad situation. Oops. We went that way. Hold on one second. There we go. Okay. All right. So now, again, the cycle continues. So the insulin resistance leads to low energy. I mentioned that. Weight gain, headaches, brain fog, elevated insulin. The elevated sugar, triglycerides, cholesterol cause your blood to get thick and more viscous. It's harder for the heart to pump. So what happens when you get too much thick blood? You get high blood pressure. So thicker blood increases your blood pressure. Puts strain on your blood vessels in your heart. So you get varicose veins, you get hemorrhoids, you get bloodshot eyes. All these are signs of thick, dirty blood. As the body gets more and more the insulin blocks your female hormones and your male hormones. So a woman gets hair loss, irregular menstrual periods, cramps, clots, bad moods, poor bone health. Men, they get erectile dysfunction, and next one, they even get man boobs. So and of course, we're gaining weight. The man and woman gain weight. So what happens is, as a man or a woman gains more than 25% over their ideal body weight, then what happens is the fat cells start to make different hormones, and it starts to block your female hormones in a woman, and it blocks the testosterone in a man. So you're, like my wife said before, you're getting heavier and heavier. And that excess sugar is turning to fat, leading to overweight and obesity. Okay, let me say it like this again. You cannot lose weight if your insulin is elevated and you have insulin resistance. You cannot lose weight. You got to control that insulin resistance first.
Or if you lose the weight, you will gain it back.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat, and more than that.
And more than that.
Yes.
That's right. It'll come back double your weight.
Yeah, that's not good. That's good. So again, the insulin resistance is causing you not to be able to use your sugar effectively, and it stops you from burning fat. And one of the ways it does that, another ways that the body stops burning fat from the insulin is that the insulin now blocks your thyroid hormones from working correctly. This is a big problem. Thyroid disease is epidemic, right? But the unfortunate reality too is that the blood tests, when you're looking for thyroid problems, are greatly misunderstood. The ranges are not for healthy thyroid. If your thyroid levels are out of this range here that I'm saying, the optimum range here, then you have problems with your thyroid. So the optimum thyroid levels, you may want to write this down. TSH should be 1.5 to 2, and your T4 level should be 8 to 10. If they're out of this range, you have a poor functioning thyroid. Now, I'm going to say this too about your thyroid. There are many times, especially women, have problems with your immune system that affects the thyroid, and your numbers look good in these particular numbers here. But you still have thyroid signs because your immune system is actually attacking your thyroid. That's another issue we deal with in our program. There are issues also with different types of allergies and stuff like that. So that's part of it too.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're saying all those things. I don't think most people knew that.
It's all connected.
That insulin resistance is what's stopping people from losing weight. And then your cells need nutrients every day. Where are they going to get all that nutrient from? Nutrients come from your foods. They do their job and then they leave, which means you have to get nutrients either from your food or from your supplements. We believe in supplements because our food is so depleted. The ground where the food grows is so depleted that your body must receive nutrients every day. And one of the consequences of not getting enough nutrients on a daily basis is insulin resistance.
I'm sorry, I just want to say something for a second. There's some great questions on the chat, but we have a lot of information to cover tonight. So if you'd like us to answer those questions for you, you can book a call with us at the end. We'll be glad to get those for you.
Book a call.
Yeah, and we'll talk about those.
Yeah,
great questions.
The link is right there.
Yeah.
The link we definitely want to answer your questions. So let me say that again. When you're not getting enough of all of the nutrients into the cells on a daily basis, Facebook, on a daily basis, that is that's leading you to insulin resistance. Because if you have a deficiency of what the cells need, for example, calcium and magnesium and sodium, chloride, potassium, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, all of these help the insulin work more effectively to escort that sugar into the cell instead of it just hanging out around the cells. You want it, you want it to be in the cell, but without the proper amount of nutrients, you will be overweight. Now, how many of you have heard that? Have you ever heard that being overweight can be a nutrient deficiency? That's because of insulin resistance.
Yes.
So here's an example. You crave sugar because sugar is not in your cells due to the insulin resistance. Therefore, you're always craving sugar. Wow. So it's not as simple as, oh, let me just put out an app on social media and tell people how to lose weight. It's so much more complicated than that. For permanent weight loss and for your blood work to be excellent. Because you don't want to be skinny, thin with terrible blood work and you're going to die anyway, right? No, that's not the goal. You crave sugar because sugar is not in your cells due to the insulin resistance. But it's the nutrients that you're craving subconsciously that will satisfy your cells' needs. Instead of just putting more sugar into your mouth, more candy, donuts, things that taste good, things that are sweet, or things that convert into sugar. That's not what's going to do it. In other words, when you put back the nutrients that you're missing, the cravings will go away.
Right. So this particular slide is talking more, again, the continuation of how the insulin resistance is affecting your hormonal system. Men become obese, they get gynecomastia, we get PCOS in women, we have anxiety and stuff in men and women. These are problems related, again, to the insulin resistance. And we know that stress is a big issue there too, babe. Talk about that. That's important.
So stress, it's the vicious cycle, the vicious insulin resistance cycle, and that it does not stop unless you take action. We all have stress at one level or another. So I'm not saying like, oh, if you have stress, you're going to die from insulin resistance. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we all have stress and we have to know how to manage it. And we have to know how to bring in the appropriate nutrition to our cells on a daily basis, because stress, whether it's emotional stress, job-related stress, family stress, financial stress, we can get over that. We can get over that if you feed your body appropriately, if you don't have nutrient deficiency. My husband and I are Christians. So the way that we defeat stress is by prayer. We also get massages. We also listen to nice, soft music. We go out and play pickleball every day. So when the stress becomes excessive or overwhelming, it's causing your body to make stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. I'm sure that all of you have heard of cortisol and adrenaline. And these hormones keep your blood sugar up, causing more insulin production, leading to more insulin resistance. And when your body is stressed, it will not burn fat. I will repeat that, ladies. When your body is stressed, your body will not burn fat. We measure your cortisol levels in our comprehensive blood test so that we can see if your body is handling the stress appropriately. And reducing stress and making your body stronger to fight that stress, that's a critical pillar in permanent weight loss. So you see, it's not just taking the Ozempic and all of those other medications that they're giving now. It's so much more. But it doesn't stop there. Talk about inflammation.
Yeah, so inflammation. So chronically elevated insulin levels, triglycerides, cholesterol, along with excess fat. Those can all lead to excess of a substance called C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein is in your blood, and that tells us about things like chronic inflammation in your body. So it would show up in your body as arthritis, gout, gastritis, colitis, pancreatitis, all these because of excess inflammation that comes from the insulin resistance. And over time, unfortunately, you can have insulin resistance in your brain. And that's a really big way of, now scientists are showing that causes dementia and Alzheimer's disease because the brain actually becomes insulin resistant too. So some scientists call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes, right? And, we're not talking about heart disease tonight, but heart disease is the biggest killer. And most heart disease, high blood pressure, arterial sclerosis, stroke, those are major consequences of insulin resistance. And 1 out of 2 people die of heart disease. Yeah. And heart disease can be greatly reduced by getting rid of insulin resistance.
That's really sad. I
Mm.
mean, we just gave you a lot of sad, amazing information.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an oxymoron, but
Mm.
we need to wake up.
Mm.
We need to wake up as a society and know that there are other ways to heal. How all of these signs and symptoms are related to one underlying cause. This is why we say that insulin resistance is that silent, deadly killer. And look here, look at this recap. All of this is due to is due to insulin resistance, that vicious cycle that my husband is talking about.
Mm.
But there is hope.
Yes, there is.
We don't want people to be fearful. We're not fear mongers. That's not what we do. We bring hope. We want you to know that there is a way out. We have a tried and proven program that will defeat the insulin resistance, that will defeat all of those signs and symptoms. We have a 90-day program, and we have helped tens of thousands of people overcome insulin resistance and the signs and the symptoms that go along with them. We just want, oh, I don't know if I can read this, but you go ahead and read it yourself. Oh, I can read it here.
Okay.
I can read it here because that is way too tiny for me. I'm on the bigger computer here. And it says, we have two testimonies from two patients. It says, my life has completely flipped around thanks to us. I used to feel stuck, struggling with weight gain, fatigue, mood swings, and I thought that it was just part of getting older. That's what this patient told us. I was like, no way, it's not part of getting older. But us showed me that it didn't have to be that way. With their guidance, I got rid of the insulin resistance, lost 40 pounds, and gained so much energy.
Mm.
My skin looks amazing. We don't have to look old and ratchet just because we're aging. We can look older and beautiful, just mature, beautifully mature.
Amen.
This person's skin looks beautiful now. Her hair is shiny and she's thinking clearer. Thinking clear. And the best part is that she reduced her meds and now she feels like herself again. Dr. Chadwick and Dr. Wanda are more than just natural doctors. They're lifesavers. They truly care and support you every step of the way. If you're struggling like I was, don't give up. Their approach works, and I'm proof. Thank you, Dr. Chadwick and Dr. Wanda, for giving me my life back. And that was from Sarah. And then this is from Mark. Mark, of course, a man is more skeptical in the beginning, right? A man is more skeptical, babe. You have on Facebook here. Right. So Mark said he was skeptical at first. He didn't even want to hear us out, but we were patient and lovingly brought him in to at least hear us out. He said, but Dr. Chadwick and Dr. Wanda's program really works. I had tried every fad diet, gym. He was going to the gym all the time, but it did not work. But nothing stuck. I felt sluggish, my blood pressure was through the roof, and I was on the verge of diabetes. With Dr. Chadwick, I've lost 60 pounds, dropped 4 pant sizes, and my blood pressure is normal again. I have energy to play with my kids, and I even started hiking again. After all, I'm only 40 years old. This is a 40-year-old man, which is to me young, right? Yeah. Still young. Their approach isn't just about weight loss. It's not just about weight loss. It's about that whole insulin resistance cycle that we need to get rid of. We need to defeat that so then the weight comes off naturally and permanently. It's a total health transformation. I've never felt better. Dr. Chadwick and Dr. Wanda are the real deal. They listen and they care and they get results. Don't waste another year feeling sick. Trust them, follow the plan, and watch your life change. Now, this is just 2 out of the tens of thousands of people that we treat. Now, I want to know on the chat, because I don't know. I can't hear you. I don't know what you're thinking. Did you learn something that you did not know before? How many of these signs and symptoms did you have? Can you go ahead and talk to me on the chat so I know what you ladies and gentlemen are thinking on Facebook also? We have a very effective way for getting rid of your insulin resistance and all of those horrible signs and symptoms. There is a better option. That's what we're here for. If nothing else, it's just for you to have ears to hear. There is a better option. We will lock arms with you and work together where we have a vested interest in your success. We have a vested interest in you staying alive and well until you're very, very old. We want to give you the advantage of destroying that insulin resistance so you can regain your life, so you can live happily ever after, right? And here's what we're offering. Here's our program. We have like I mentioned before, the tried and proven system that gives you the biggest results in the shortest amount of time. We have the Fix Your Insulin Resistance in 90 Days program. It's an exclusive, personalized program to get rid of all of your nagging signs and symptoms. So we don't know when people say, well, what should we do? I don't know what you should do until I see what's happening inside of you. I need to see your internal terrain, why you're feeling how you're feeling, why you have the signs and symptoms, where did it come from? What is the root of all of the diseases? We get to the root of why you have what you have. And it's a tailored program, tailored specifically for you. In our 90-day program, you're going to experience all of this. More energy, eliminate fatigue, sleep better, lose weight, right? Prevent and defeat diabetes. Now, all of these reverse brain fog. Like you want to be able to think clearly all the way to 100. We play pickleball with Warren. We love Warren. He's 90 years old.
Oh, he's good.
And sometimes he beats us.
No, he's good.
Hello.
At 90.
He's 90 years old and he's clear. He's in shape. I'm like, that's the way to do it right there, right? You want to defeat that chronic inflammation, reduce the risk of cancer, reduce hormone problems. So, ladies and gentlemen, and on Facebook, if you like what you learned tonight and it makes sense to you and you want to get rid of those problems, then go ahead. I urge you. It is important that you book a call with us. Book a free call. We are not charging for the call. Our 90-day program includes the comprehensive blood work that we've been talking about. You get 2 of them so that we can monitor your progress. We want you to physically see your progress on the blood work. We will teach you how to read that blood work a little bit so that you understand your progress. And just so you know, FYI, many doctors charge for this comprehensive blood work $3,000 plus per blood work. We have 2 of them. And in our program, you'll be getting Dr. Chadwick, myself, we have a health coach. You will get tailored, specialized food program specifically for you according to your blood work. According to your blood work. So we have a team of people, of healthcare professionals on your team. Our business is called Your Nutrition Physicians that will be working alongside us with Dr. Chadwick and myself. And one of the health coaches is on tonight. Well, I think she's on tonight. I haven't seen her.
Yeah, I'm right here.
You're there. So her name is Kim Dugan. Kim Dugan has been vetted, has been questioned. We wanted to make sure that she knows what we know. Right? That she is able to take care of our patients. We look at the blood work, we put the program together, and Kim makes sure that you are sticking to your program and getting results. We don't want people to pay us if you're not getting results and you're not following the program. So, Kim, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the program. And also thank you, Dr. Wanda and Dr. Chadwick, for explaining to us in details, how can we lose weight by defeating insulin resistance? This is such a huge, important topic. And actually, as you mentioned, it's a vicious cycle.
It is.
So it is. So we were talking before we started that It's not that we're guessing. It's what you mentioned. We test, not guess. So we get to the root cause of your symptoms in this 90 days in this program.
That's
So
right.
we're getting out of the diet culture to trying to follow what other people do. And we ask ourselves, is your body as a number? Is your body, this is the way you want to live your wellness, your journey. So as you mentioned, in the 90 days, you test and then you give them the results. And from there, we start working with them. And as you mentioned, I'm the health coach of the team. So I'll be working hand to hand with Dr. Chadwick with his guidelines and helping you answering all your questions, the supplements, helping you select better choices in your nutrition, etc. So
Yeah.
I'll be here in the team. Thank you so much. And great testimonials. Those were amazing.
Yes, I
Right
know.
before. Yes, a
Sometimes
40-year-old, and look how he's feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes our,
Yeah.
people call us. Sometimes they just call us and we're like, want to cry on the phone, like, wow, praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus, because all of
Yeah.
these results are amazing. So
And the
listen,
best thing is that we test, not guess. Based on
yeah,
that, like you mentioned, you can tell this is what you need. And that's unique. Everybody's unique. So
that's
that's the special of the program,
everybody gets their own program. That's
their
right.
own program.
Thank you so much, Kim. You're amazing. I'm so happy you're on our team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, both on Zoom and Facebook, if what we taught you tonight makes sense and you want to experience relief from your signs and symptoms and get rid of that insulin resistance that probably you don't even know that you had, we have the solution for you. So I cannot urge you enough. I cannot encourage you enough to book the call. I just yeah, Kim just put the link there. Book a call immediately. The call is the best way to find out if we're going to be a good fit for each other. We don't know if we're going to be a good fit for each other. We want to hear you out, and we hear you out. We're not those type of doctors, when you go to the doctor and you're telling them, I feel this, I feel that, I'm not feeling well. And they're like, oh, it's all in your mind. Yeah, we're definitely not one of those doctors. There's no strings attached. There's no commitment. There's not a thing that you have to do during the call. We want to hear where you are in your health journey and see if our program is a good fit for you. Now, here's the deal. We're only taking 20 people every 90 days, and we already have quite a few people. We only take 20 people every 90 days because this is a personalized program where we take care of you to the highest level, the highest level possible to maximize your results. So if you are open to talking to us, we will talk on the phone or on Zoom.
Yes.
I want to thank you all for being here tonight.
Yeah.
It has been our pleasure to serve you all. That's it for our masterclass. Have a great evening, and I hope I see you all on Zoom or on a phone call. Until next month, the next one that we'll be having is the last one for the year, Thursday, November 21. Thursday, November 21, and we'll send out those emails.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Book a call and ask us all your questions. God bless.
God bless you.
Good night.
Good night, Facebook.
Good night, Facebook.